Well, good morning. Day 2 of the B term. And what's kind of apparent at this point is a little more explanation on the chat. I did have a couple folks jump in on the chat the first day of class, which was great. But I also realized that I could do a better job explaining kind of how the chat system works. So this is going to be a short, maybe 10 minutes tops video on how to use the chat. While I'm at it, though, I want to talk about one other thing. One of the students I was chatting with yesterday, we were able to kind of type into the system, but one microphone. If you have a webcam and a microphone as part of your computer system, the chat room should recognize it, but you may have to go into the settings, and I'll kind of step through that to make sure it works. And remember, once you're logged into the chat, you can disable the video portion if you don't want to show your shining face at 8 a.m. on Wednesday tomorrow for the chat. You can just make it audio. You can just type in the chat session itself. The other thing I heard yesterday from one of the students was she was having problems getting to the no-show assignment. Like it was there, but it wouldn't open up for her. So two things I've seen. One is it depends on the browser you use. Let's see, I'm using Firefox down here. That one seems to work without much issue. And I've also heard, I don't use it, but Chrome works well. But people with Microsoft Edge, it can be a little bit finicky. So that might be the problem. Try a different browser perhaps. But the other thing, and I've seen this, and it's weird how it gets to it, but there's an old kind of web page of the old Blackboard system we used to use, and you'll know you're at it because it says Blackboard and then Learn underneath it. And that'll take you to a system that doesn't really work anymore because we've moved to this one. It's a weird thing. So what I do is I always go to the GNTC homepage and just use these top 3 functions up here. So let's just step through that again, Blackboard. So this is your single sign-in. Really, it'll sign you into Blackboard or email. My GNTC is a little bit different. And again, since this is kind of an add-on to video 1, I'll probably just call it video 1.1 or 1A and post it in an announcement so you guys can see how to get on the chat. But this should be the normal sequence that you see. So your username is your email, and password is that GNTC birthday twice exclamation point. All that stuff's in the video 1, so I don't need to go over that again. And then remember, once you get to this last step, you're going to have to get that code sent to you. It's just to prevent people hacking your account. And there it is. And now, if all is well, you should see something that looks like this. So again, there's your email. We're just going to deal with Blackboard. Okay, so any classes you're taking that have some kind of online element should show up right here in the middle. We're going to go to Student Success. Just quickly while I'm here, Lessons. And there's that week 1 no-show assignment. Right, here's the link to that first little bit longer video about how to log in, and I think I'm going to email that to everybody as well. And then the week 1 no-show assignment, and this is where she was clicking on it and it was showing that it was not available or there was some issue with it. So I'm not sure. I went through and double checked. Everything seems to be working okay, but it's where you create a thread and tell us a little bit about yourself. Okay. Now let's talk about the chat. Now I'm going to have to do a little monkeying around with the cameras here because I can't have a camera doing the chat and this video. So I'm going to shut my camera off for a minute. Hopefully this works. There may be some fumbling around. But what you're going to see when you get to the chat, right over here on the left-hand side, you click chat. This is what it'll look like. And I just built this one, demo chat, for doing this video. Our next one lined up is Wednesday from 8 to 10. So as that window opens up, and I usually set it where you can get in a few minutes early, you just click on that and it'll say enter session, something to that effect. And I'll show you that here in a minute. All right, now bear with me. I'm going to have to kill my camera. All right. And I may fumble through this a little bit. And let's see if this works. We'll just try it. So demo chat, that's the one we're kind of demoing. And notice it has some details and all, but all you do, look over here on the right hand side and it says join session. And with mine, when I do that, it's going to ask me, hey, do you want your webcam to have access? I'll allow that. And then it'll ask about the microphone. Okay. And I'm not going to record it. In fact, I don't record any of the chats if you're curious. I don't see any need to do that. So welcome. You're in the chat room. Now, if you look down here at the bottom, microphone, right? And that will activate so we can talk through the chat room. And here's where you can turn on and off your video. So if you don't feel like showing your bright, shiny face at 8 a.m., don't turn it on. That's okay. And this one is raise your hand. So if you have some kind of burning question, you can hit that raise your hand. But usually we just talk through issues, and I'll pull up different computer screens like we're doing today and step through, hey, you know, how do I get to this? How do I do this? And demo it. And that way everybody that's on the chat can see it. Because if you have a question, I bet somebody else does as well. Okay, so there's that. And now I got to move my head because it's blocking one other thing. And this is what it took me a while to realize, that maybe this, you know, it's not intuitive. This little purple tab down in the bottom right, that opens up a panel with 4 different pieces. So the first one's that kind of balloon bubble, right? A talking bubble. So say something. Usually once I'm logged in, I'll just type in something like that. And you see it's who and what was said. So you can just get in here and say, hey, you know, ask a question that way. Now, the second piece, you guys don't really care about this, but it's who's in. And of course, it's just me now because it's a demo chat. The third is I can share content. And that's what I do up here, is I can put worksheets, I can put video screens, etc. I can share, and you guys can do the same. If there's something you want to share with the class, we can do that. And then the last one is the settings, the little gear looking symbol, just like Gmail does. And this is where you can go through and set up your camera and microphone, and it'll step you through, is this working? If not, it kind of helps troubleshoot it. But it'll show you, hey, this is the picture. Hey, there I am. And you move, okay, camera's working. Then it'll go to your microphone, and you can play around with the volume of the microphone as well. I usually set mine somewhere in the middle at the beginning, just because if it's at 100, sometimes it's just, whoa. But, you know, don't worry about that. If it's too loud or too soft, we can get that fixed. Okay, I recommend using this gallery view on, just like it says, and if you have an issue, you can report it here. So that purple tab, it's not always intuitive, but I usually leave this open. So let's say you don't have a microphone, you don't have a webcam, you can still participate in the chat just by typing something in and enter. And, you know, because it's me, it's the same, but it'll come across with your name and your question, and we can communicate that way as well. So it's a little more real time. I don't know if it's less cumbersome, but it's I don't know, more useful to me if you've got an immediate problem than trying to email back and forth. Okay, so I think that pretty well covers. And you can close that if you're just going to use the microphone and camera. Can see other people in the chat room if they ask a question, and they're not on the microphone camera thingy. Okay, what else? I think that's it. So I kept it under 10 minutes. That's kind of a nutshell on the chat, and I'm going to post this as like class video 1.1 with an announcement, just so if you're interested. And look, you can go back and watch it again. Just before the chat session Wednesday. I will say, just in closing, chat is really useful as far as getting immediate info and just, you know, talking things over. What's going on? How you doing? And especially as we get toward, remember, returning student registration kicks off next week, this being the 12th of October. So the chat room is very effective on, hey, I'm thinking about taking this, that. I can actually, from my end, kind of look up where you are and what you're taking and give some suggestions. I'm not trying to say I'm taking the job of your advisor, but maybe just some thoughts on building a spring schedule. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I'll post this for everybody, and I hope to see somebody in the chat next couple of weeks. So long.